It's the Daily Dog.
The sinners and the saints, it takes and it takes and it takes, and we keep loving anyway. Rise and fall and break and make our mistakes, and if there's a reason, I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it.
It's wonderful, isn't it? It's just astounding. So, oh man. Welcome to the Daily Doug. I'm glad you're here. I was just listening to some Hamilton. I'm sure that is fully understandable by the rest of you. Hamilton is the shit. And, I'm a little late to this party because Hamilton came out on Disney Plus on the 4th of July weekend. And since then, I have seen it probably a dozen times. It has been a really wonderful balm to my soul. It's such a great show. So, yeah, like I said, I'm late to this party. But intentionally a little bit. So when Hamilton came out in 2015, I became aware of it, obviously. I teach at a music school. College-age kids tend to love the new shows because the new shows don't really speak to these current events and life in a certain way that young people tend to really be drawn into. And it's one of the reasons why I really love musical theater. So now that we live in New Jersey, and we're only like an hour away from New York City, we've been able to go to some Broadway shows. And it came out, and I heard a couple of the songs. I was very intrigued by it and wanted to see it. But I made a conscious decision not to listen to the soundtrack because I had a feeling that this was going to be such a powerful show that I wanted to be surprised and taken for a ride by it when I saw it, instead of kind of knowing all of the lyrics or all of the songs to it and coming in with a certain amount of expectation. So I kept true to my promise to myself. I did not listen to the soundtrack for years, and was planning on going to see it on Broadway at some point when the price dropped to the point where we could possibly go. And then the pandemic happened, and all of Broadway is closed and is going to be closed for a long time. And I was like, bummer. I mean, not only for all of the performers, but just, I wasn't going to get a chance to go see Hamilton. I hadn't bought tickets, but, it's just one of those things. And then we heard that Lin-Manuel and the creators of Hamilton had this pro shot version of the musical that they had filmed with the original cast back in June of 2015. And they worked with Disney to make it available. And so the movie version of the stage musical was released to Disney Plus on July 4th weekend. And I have to say, y'all, it's groundbreaking. I mean, all the accolades that you've heard about Hamilton cannot live up to the level of artistry and historical importance and just mind-bending excellence in the genre that these people have created. It's called the hip hop musical, which it's got hip hop in it for sure, but I wouldn't call it a hip hop musical. That does a disservice to what Lin-Manuel Miranda and Alex Lacamoire and all of the cast and crew and costume designers and sound designers and musicians and the director, all these people have created, because it's more than that. It's more than that. In my mind, it's a love letter to Broadway. There are classic Broadway songs in it. There's stuff that sounds like Sondheim. There's stuff that sounds like Cole Porter, and it's so endearing because what Lynn is able to accomplish in this show is to make these historical characters come alive. You get invested into the characters, and I think that's why people love it so much. He really finds a way with the lyrics and the music that's in these songs to really dive in deep to what makes these historical characters tick and what makes them relevant today. It seems like we're in revolutionary times, and that's what they're depicting in Hamilton. These headstrong young people that wanted to fight for a better world, and they weren't going to take no for an answer. And I think the world is better off for them, and we need some revolutions occasionally when things go astray. The thing that I keep coming back to with Hamilton is the complexity and the brilliance of the lyrics. It's Shakespearean, y'all. I mean, think about Shakespeare. Shakespeare was able to take the language of the day and craft it in a way that was accessible to the masses in a poetic and powerful way. And that's exactly what Lin-Manuel has done. People talk about it being like a hip-hop sort of thing, like it's like that somehow diminishes it. Not even in the slightest. I mean, he's using classic tools for storytelling through music. We have Sprechstimme in opera, the speech-like patterns of oratorio and arias, and we get these ideas that are presented to us in very quick succession. There is a lot of lyrics in this, so if you're watching it and you've never watched it before, I suggest subtitles. It's very helpful. But even if you know it very well, the subtitles can be profound because you're realizing the alliteration and the rhyme scheme and the way that he uses the poetry to just further the storytelling at every instance throughout this show. And it's quite wonderful. So I missed the boat a little bit. I wasn't doing the Daily Doug back in July when this first came out. Otherwise, I would have hooped and hollered and say, y'all gotta watch this. But alas, I wasn't doing the Daily Doug at that time. But I am now. And the thing that alerted me that I can talk about Hamilton now in this way is that there is something new on Netflix. It's a show called Song Exploder. And it's got 4 episodes right now, and they're about 30-minute episodes, and it's like the VH1 series Behind the Music, like these documentaries behind the music. Well, this is like little documentaries behind the making of these particular songs, and episode 2 is a featurette on Lin-Manuel Miranda and Alex Lacamoire, and they're talking about the song that I was listening to at the very beginning, Wait For It, which is in the middle of Act 1. This is Aaron Burr's character, his first real opportunity to have some exposition and talk about what makes him tick. And in this episode, Lin-Manuel is talking about the specific differences, the background differences between somebody like Alexander Hamilton and somebody like Aaron Burr. On the surface, they're both orphans, but Hamilton goes for everything. He has nothing to lose, whereas Burr is the product of a family of means, and so Burr is very patient and is very calculating and takes his time with life. And so it's a dichotomy between these two characters, and it's really fascinating to have the opportunity to watch them talk about the creation of this song, from the lyrics to the chord progression to the melody to the way it was arranged for the show. I encourage you all to watch it if you have the Netflix. The show is called Song Exploder, and if you don't have Disney Plus, you guys, there's a lot of great content. It's Disney. I mean, just last week I was watching old Goofy cartoons because I love them. But there's Hamilton, and there's all the Star Wars movies, and all of the Marvel movies, and just a ton of other stuff. I also watched The Cat from Outer Space from the late 70s. You can't beat it. It's a great movie. It holds up. Just saying. Doug's picks. So watch Hamilton, enjoy it, and watch the Song Exploder episodes. They've got one episode with REM talking about Losing My Religion, how they wrote that song. It's great. So that's it. There's lots of good stuff for you to listen to and to watch, but Hamilton, in my mind, is the crowning achievement in the history of American musical theater. I think number one was West Side Story, and I think Hamilton just completely blows that out of the water. Sorry, Lenny. Sorry, Stephen Sondheim. But I think Hamilton is as groundbreaking as any of the big tentpole groundbreaking musical theater pieces that we have, from Oklahoma to Showboat to The Sound of Music to West Side Story to Into the Woods, and Phantom and Les Mis and in the 90s Rent and so on. But I think it's head and shoulders above all of its competition. Because it's that brilliant. It's just that brilliant. So I hope that you enjoy Hamilton. I hope that you enjoyed this. And check out Song Exploder. And until next time, we will see you back on The Daily Doug.